Here we go.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello everyone, my name is Don, the movie reviewer, and today we are going to be talking about Damien Chazelle's First Man. Damien Chazelle's First Man is based off of a book by James R. Hansen called First Man, The Life of Neil A. Armstrong. Neil A. Armstrong was the first man to walk on the moon with his fellow in command, Buzz Aldrin. This movie is about a man who is determined to get to the moon. He is determined to get to the moon for a cause. Now, no one really knows what that cause is except for Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong's wife, Janet Armstrong, played by Claire Foy, is a woman who just wants to hold the family together after this loss of this very special loved one, and she feels that her husband is not communicating with her. I don't think it's until the end of the movie where we see Janet Armstrong and Neil Armstrong's relationship finally complete its arc, because there's a tragedy that happens and it separates the two. It's like the husband and wife live in the same house, but yet they stay in opposite corners. And they're all constantly butting heads about different things going on within the family. And Neil Armstrong is just he's not oblivious to it all, but he just wants to ignore it, and he's not really good about his feelings. Like, there's some perfect moments in this movie where Ryan Gosling's acting his ass off, where there's two scenes where he's giving a press conference and he's talking to his two sons. And during both of these moments, Ryan Gosling portrays a man who is suffering from an extreme amount of anxiety, to where he doesn't really want to express himself and his emotions to anybody. He constantly has this twitch where he rubs his thumbs or his hands together to where it seems like he's trying to get through a difficult situation that he doesn't feel comfortable in. And I love those scenes because it illustrated who he was as a character and his dynamic and his relationship with his wife, and how he didn't want to explain anything to her. And then I would say that by the end of the movie, once Neil Armstrong accomplishes his mission, and we as an audience understand why he wanted to accomplish his mission, within the movie everyone's questioning him and the whole space mission, like, why are you doing this? But as an audience member, we understand it and we see it with our own eyes, whereas the characters in the movie don't see it. So when we see that, and then we understand why his wife is so frustrated with him, and he goes to the moon, and he something happens at the end, and these two come together. It's a complete arc, and I understood it, and it worked perfectly. He's a very determined man. You could say that he is a man who has no flaws, but you could say one of his flaws is that he's so determined. But then, does he neglect his family? No, not really. There's a scene in this movie where Neil Armstrong is at the dinner table and he's just brushing up on the plans about the Apollo 11 mission, and his kids are running amok, and they make him stop what he's doing. Now, you may think, oh, he's gonna snap on them and say, leave me alone, because he's so stressed out. No, he drops everything that he's doing and he plays with his children. The only problem I can see with this character is that he can't really connect with his wife on a level as to where he can explain how he feels, because I feel like the Neil Armstrong in this movie is a person who doesn't like to express his emotions, and he conceals everything. Damien Chazelle And he gets in close with the camera, and he even does some POV shots that put you in the perspective of these characters. This is an immersive, engaging, thrilling, suspenseful, dramatic, emotional movie that hit on all levels. It hit on all those levels, and I absolutely enjoyed it. Damien Chazelle, you, my friend, are a treasure. You are a treasure of a filmmaker, and I love all your movies. And First Man, I would say, is the greatest movie of the year. Only negative thing I can say is I wish they would have developed the family aspect a bit more. Like I said, there's a tragedy that happens in this movie, and I just really wish there had just been a bit more depth with Ryan Gosling's Neil Armstrong and this tragedy that he had to deal with, just so it could have a more emotional payoff. I mean, it did have an emotional payoff at the end, but I wish there was just a bit more development with it. But then I understand what was happening, because I would say that within the movie, the characters don't know what Neil Armstrong is going through, but as an audience, we witness it. We are looking behind the closed doors and seeing what the characters within the movie aren't seeing, and so that's a real treasure, and that is a unique thing that Damien Chazelle does in here, is making us understand why he's doing this, what his purpose is, his drive, and his family aspect. But I just wish there was a bit more depth with his family to have a better emotional payoff at the end. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, I really enjoyed this movie. I would highly recommend watching this movie in IMAX, because to me, I would say a lot of, I wouldn't call them action sequences, I would call them suspenseful sequences that put us in the perspective of the character. It immerses us in Neil Armstrong's world, and it's just completely immersive. And that's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.